at the State of Us Juneteenth Scholarship Program on June 13. So they're both high school students. They won this acknowledgement and they went around for the past 2 weeks to all the area Juneteenth celebrations representing Riverview Gardens High School. They won the award for outstanding academics in school and positive community leadership. And so we just want to celebrate them again. They are going to come in July, but we want to recognize them for winning that honor.
Do we have a picture of them? Did we upload the picture?
I did not upload
Okay.
the picture here, but we do have
Thank you.
we do have pictures of that, and they'll be here in July.
Thank you.
Next, let's see. I don't think Miss Hutt is here, but let me acknowledge Miss Hutt. Miss Lorinda Hutt is part of the CNI team. She's a longtime member of the Ramily and a beacon of Rams pride. Throughout the year, she has consistently supported students, staff members. She always comes to the State of the District meetings, different meetings that we have throughout the district, different events for students, and just always is filled with energy and enthusiasm for Riverview Gardens. And she's out beating the drum for Riverview Gardens School District. So we want to acknowledge Ms. Hutt as a Riverview Excellence winner.
Congratulations.
And then next, Ms. Jennifer Williams, a familiar face. If you can come on up, Ms. Williams.
Miss Williams should look surprised. Come on up.
And Miss Porter, Miss Lisa Porter, can you come on up too? She's like, no, okay, that's all right. Well, Miss Porter's here. So Miss Williams was nominated for Review Excellence by Miss Porter.
Can you all come up front? We can't see you behind Ishmael. Come on up.
Step on out, they want to see you.
Right there, get on the side. So there we go. Okay.
And I'll read this. This is short. Ms. Porter wrote, I would like to nominate Jennifer Williams for Riverview Excellence. She is always very helpful when I call her about things. When my husband passed away 2 years ago, I called Ms. Williams and she was able to direct me to the necessary company to help with in my transition. She gave me the number to the organization that would help me get through my grieving process. Ms. Williams is the best in my book. And so, of course, you all know Ms. Williams as she is here in the district and presents the board policies and things, but she's also, again, a kind spirit, always nice to everyone in the district. She's always one of the last people here in the building to leave every night. And so we just want to salute you for your dedication and your kindness in supporting our staff.
Very good. Ms. Williams, would you like to say anything? Would you like to say anything, Ms. Williams?
Just so proud to be a part of the school district. I came here with a goal to fight for our accreditation.
Thank you.
I've been here 2 times. My first time was as a substitute teacher, and then I came back as a secretary, and then I came over to HR, and I've worked in benefits and all type of jobs. So nothing, I could do anything. So whatever needs to be done, I'm willing to do it. A position doesn't mean anything to me.
Very good. Thank you. And that, you walk in that, Jennifer. You walk in that. Those were not just words. Those are words that you walk in. So we appreciate you. Ms. Porter, thank you for recommending her.
And Ms. Porter has to stay here. She's not dismissed yet because she made another recommendation. Miss Jane Crum, can you come up, please? And Miss Jane Crum, she is a longtime administrative assistant for the facilities team. She's going to be retiring here soon and leaving us. And when I say Miss Porter, for both Miss Williams and Miss Crum, I saw her in person and she said, I have a Review Excellence nomination. And then she called me a couple times. She emailed me. She wanted to make sure that we got this in, and I knew that she was sending it to me. And so she said, I would like to nominate Jane Crum for Riverview Excellence. I'm not sure where to start. Mrs. Crum is like a mother to everyone in the district. There is nothing she won't do to help in any capacity. Whenever anything goes wrong, she is the go-to person in the district. She will definitely be missed in the Riverview Garden School District. Happy retirement, Ms. Crum. And I'll give you a chance to speak also, but I also say, you know, sort of like Miss Williams, Miss Crum is always kind. She's always very nice. She cares about this community. She sends me information on alumni, on events that are happening, because she really wants to highlight the great things that are happening in this district. And so I've known Miss Crum a long time, from when I was in the district before, and she just always had that same kind, gentle, and helping spirit. So, Ms. Crum, would you like to speak?
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed my years here. It was very difficult for me to decide to retire. I had like some health issues, or I probably would have stayed because my family couldn't even believe I was leaving. But I work with some of the best people ever anywhere. I can't even imagine working anywhere else. So it's been just a pleasure, and I will continue to support the district. One of the principals said I could come back and volunteer at the school, so maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that. So thank you so much. It means so much to me. It really does. Thank you.
Ms. Crum, you can volunteer anywhere in the district, anywhere. We will have you. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes Riverview Excellence. Yes, we have to get our pictures. Thank you, Ms. Moore.
Ms. Morrill was looking out, Ishmael.
Right, thank you, thank you. Ms. Williams, Ms. Crum, if you can come up, take a picture with the board.
All you this time. Gradual release.
Ms. Shea, do we have any public comments? Okay. So now, are there any members of the board who'd like to make some comments? Anyone? No one? Okay, I'll make some comments. I read the Missourian online, and they were talking about how teenagers are not voting the way they have in the past, and they're connecting it to the drop in teen drivers, which I did not know that. I could not wait until I was 16 to get a driver's license. But statewide, statistically, not only our state, but other states, teens are not driving as quickly as we had in the past. So the League of Women Voters announced a partnership with the Civic Center to promote high school voter registration. The groups are offering state-specific training and toolkits to help members of the League, which has hundreds of chapters throughout the country, help students, teachers, and school administrators hold registration drives. That's something I think that we should participate in, Superintendent. They also want states to provide teens more time to register before they vote. About half of teens currently live in states that allow voter pre-registration at 16, according to the Civic Center. I had no idea. And it lists the states that participate that allowed students 16. Missouri is not one, but Illinois is one. So this is just information that anyone who's listening in Zoom land, if you've got a child who's about to turn voter age, please register them to vote. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're at the consent agenda. Can we have a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda? They're on the agenda. Any second? There's a motion to approve by Ms. Moore Real, second by Ms. Titsworth. Are there any questions? Does anyone have any questions regarding the items on the consent agenda before we approve? We can slow it down. Any questions? No questions? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Now it's your turn, Superintendent.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, everyone. I just want to share some information just about Riverview Gardens as we end this is our last board meeting of the 26-27 school year. No, 25-26 school year. I'm moving forward a whole year. And so I do want to provide just an update. We have been doing well academically, but we are facing challenges, and I've been very transparent in the challenges that we are facing. So just to share a little bit of information, as we continue to improve our academic outcomes and as we try our best to move toward full accreditation, the district faces several significant challenges, though some are internal and some are external. Our budget deficit, as you know, I've shared that. We recognized a budget deficit at the beginning of 24-25 of $23 million budget deficit, and the district began making moves to reduce that. Due to hard work and dedication and the support of this board, we were able to take that $23 million deficit and reduce it, which Ms. Terry will talk about as we step into 26-27 to somewhere between $4 and $5 million. And that is an accomplishment. So we are very proud of that, especially when you consider what we were facing. We had loss of school improvement funding. So we moved, as you all know, 6 schools off of the turnaround and comprehensive list, which is a great thing. But our reward was that we lost Title I funding. And so that's approximately $2.8 million that we lost, although they did give us a few more extra dollars, but still we lost a lot of money in that. I am grateful that our school districts performed, our school district performed well, our schools performed well, and came off the targeted and comprehensive list. But it's cost us. And so they gave us the money so that we can bring in extra resources. We brought those in, it made a difference, and now they're pulling it. I would like them to leave us with that for a couple of more years so we can get the foundation solid. As you know, what was her name? Her name is Linda Quinley came down from MSBA, and she did a board workshop with us on funding. And she shared with us what is happening at the state level. So Missouri schools continue to face uncertainty regarding state funding levels as it relates to the foundation formula. And the foundation formula is what the state provides each district for each student. They've reduced that as we're stepping into 26-27. And the thing that they do is they tell us they'll give us a certain amount, and then in the middle of the year tell us, oh, we can't afford to give you that, but we've built our budget based around what they said. And so we're supposed to get approximately 7,200 per student. They are projecting that we'll get 6,900 per student, but we'll probably really get about 6,800 per student. So our foundation formula continues to drop. And it is making it difficult for us to address our district needs, increased dependence. We have increased dependence on local taxes. As you know, over 40% of our funding comes from taxpayers within this community. Additional reductions related to staffing and services, and then sustaining our recent academic gains. As you all know, I'm very proud of the work that we are doing in the schools, and we are improving our academics, and that funding helped us do that. So pulling that funding away may affect that. It is my hope that it doesn't, but understand that if we needed the money to get us there and to help us move our district, then we need the money to retain it. So it is my hope that we continue to do that, and I know that everyone in this room is committed to moving this district forward. There's some legislation coming forward. One is open enrollment, and that proposed legislation would allow students to go outside of our school district into any school that they wanted to go to. So that's an additional loss of students. That means less funding for our district as we retain the number of schools that we have that cost money to operate. The first year, 3% of our students can leave. If we reach the 3-year percentage, the next year is 5 years. If we reach the 5-year percent, it's 10 years every year after that, or 10% every year after that. So that's definitely going to cause a loss of funding for Riverview Gardens. Also, I attended the summer session of the MSBA conference and learned a whole lot more about the proposed A through F school report card. So in other words, identifying school districts with a letter grade. And that's something that the governor did in an executive order telling DESE to develop a plan. And so they are developing a plan for an A through F report card. Why is that a problem for us? Because it oversimplifies the growth that we've seen, and it relies heavily just in one area, and that's primarily proficiency and not growth. As you know, Riverview Gardens has grown enormously over the last 3 years, and if the goal or if the parameters of the A through F is to rely more on proficiency than growth, then Riverview Gardens would be at about a D. If they relied on growth, we would be about a B. And so we need to make sure that we have a voice in that. As they're developing that, they're supposed to deliver a plan to the governor by June 30th, which is next week. But we want them to rely more on the growth, because if we rely more on the growth, in terms of growth, we are the fastest growing school district in this area. And that's something for us to be proud of. As you know, with the demographic study that we conducted a year and a half or so ago, we are projected to lose anywhere from 800 to 1,000 students over the next 8 years. And when I came to the district in 2021, we were at 5,400 students. So we've lost almost 500 students in the time we've been here. Now, just keep in mind that the St. Louis area has lost 30,000 students over the last 5 years. So we definitely have lost ours as well. So that we're looking at, again, if that continues to decline, underutilization of our facilities, reduced state funding. So we have many challenges. The expiration of the ESSER funds, as you know, that helped us a whole lot. And when they pulled that money back and said, okay, we're done, of course, that threw Riverview Gardens into the $23 million budget deficit that we were facing. We serve a community that lives in trauma, so increasing student needs related to their care, related to their mental well-being. And so we are actively looking for more partners that can help us with mental and social emotional health for our students, and then just the workforce recruitment and retention. In order for us to move our district, we have to have great teachers in the classrooms. It makes it difficult when we are competing with other districts who can afford to do things that we are unable to do. So in the end, what I want to say to this community and to this staff is that we have done a wonderful job, and you all need to pat yourselves on the back for the growth that we've seen and what we've been able to do over the last 3 or 4 years. So congratulations on your hard work. And let me say this, despite the challenges, we have demonstrated growth over the past several years. We've improved our APR by 22 points. We were 1 point away from full accreditation points, but there are challenges before us, and we can't close our eyes to that. We must address it, try to figure out ways to bring in revenue to our district because we're going to lose revenue. And I don't know how we control that, but what we can control is actively searching for revenue to bring into our district. So reaching out to those organizations, reaching out, looking for state, federal, and local grants, reaching out to organizations such as Boeing and such as Worldwide
Yes.
Technologies.
Yes.
And ask them to become to take on our school district. And so that's what we're doing. Ishmael and I have worked on the letter that I will share with the board, but we are going to start actively looking for revenue to bring in. We're not just going to go down without a fight. We are going to fight for our accreditation. We are going to fight for our financial stability in order to keep this district moving forward and serve this community effectively. So, Madam President, that concludes my announcements. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. Now we move to items for discussion.
Items for information is
Oh, I
the
thought
first
we were
thing.
on-
Yeah.
Did I skip that? Items for
Yeah,
information.
items for
I
information,
did.
thank you. And Ms. White is already up. So making our first item up for information is the Moline Elementary Attuned Educational Partnership. Making this presentation is Ms. Amber White. She is the principal of Moline. And this is being presented in conjunction with policy GCL, Professional Staff Development. And while Ms. White is standing there, I do want to commend her on the work that she's done at Moline with our K through first grade students who are all school, well, not all, but 74% of them were in the proficient and exceeding. So great job. Great job. Great job.
Good evening, good evening. We are moving on to the 26, 20, 25, 26, wait, 26, 27. We're moving on. As you know, Moline was a recipient of the Emerson Early Literacy Challenge Grant back in September. And when I came to you in October to get that grant approved, we committed to making sure that along the way that the board was kept abreast of what was happening with that grant. And so this is not necessarily a piece of this, but I do want to say that last week we engaged in an amazing professional learning experience. It was at Moline, but all 8 elementary schools, all 8 building principals, teachers from elementary schools, central services representatives participated in a 2-day foundational skills training last week. 60+ participants. That was absolutely amazing. And so the numbers across the district are gonna get much closer to that 70%.
We have no doubt. And Ms. Nave did send pictures. She was so excited and she was texting me, I wish you all were here and we wanted
I
to be
have a
there.
picture of her though too. Like she
Oh,
was a
we
champ.
have to see
She
that.
was back there with her hand on her throat, making her little words on her word mat. You would have been really proud of her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to say that we would have been there, but we were at the summer summit for
Yes.
MSBA's. Otherwise, we would have been.
Mm.
I have witnesses.
At the lake.
I have witnesses.
Well, as part of that grant, we have been afforded the opportunity to sort of develop our depth of knowledge around early literacy and develop our instructional capacity for leadership within our school building to really be able to support our teachers in implementing best practices. As we begin next school year, we'll start what the grant calls Cycle 3, which is really year-long implementation of our literacy plan that will include implementing UFly, which you'll probably hear a lot about, but that will be our new K-2 foundational skills curriculum, not just at Moline, but across the district. We'll also be implementing a core language comprehension program and really targeting professional development for teachers to develop some instructional leadership at Moline and hopefully across the district. We have worked this past year with Attuned Educational Partners, which is a consulting company who did all of the planning and facilitating of our professional learning throughout the course of the grant. And so we are planning to invest about $40,000 of our grant funds to continue the work with this particular company, which will get us opportunities for Sonamar, who has been our coach. In fact, I met with her before I came here just to make sure that we were on track with our planning, but get some on-site visits from Sonamar so she can come in, visit classrooms, observe with our leadership team to make sure we're seeing what the sort of outside experts are seeing, but also some virtual sessions that will allow us to debrief data together in a timely manner. She's out of state, so doing some sessions virtually will allow us to, let's look at real-time data about what we're seeing in classrooms with teacher practices as well as with student data. And so we'll be spending about $40,000 to partner with this particular organization to sustain our leadership, not just at Moline, but across the district for the 26-27 school year. You messed me up. Do I have to ask if there's questions, if it's just for information?
Yes, you do.
Ah,
Nice try.
are there any questions?
I do want to, can you stay there for a second? I do want to speak to that. Amber is very relentless about this district, as many of us in this room are. And when she was able to get this grant, she came and said to both Ms. Nave and I that, you know, can we just do this in all of our buildings so we can strengthen the foundation? And so that's what we're doing. I think your school started it, was it October?
We started the professional learning, but this will be a new resource for us, just like everybody else. But we really have been digging into the instructional strategy since
Right,
October. Yep.
since October, and she's been able to make a difference since October through May. And so with that kind of growth, if every one of our building leaders, as well as our teachers and the teams within each building commit to this, we could really build a strong foundation for Riverview Gardens and not have to, we'll still have to chase those students who are on the bubble, but at least we're strengthening the foundation. And I just want to thank you for your willingness to lead that without asking for anything in return. She just said, I'll do
Haven't
it.
asked yet.
Please, I'm sorry. Oh, you haven't asked yet. Okay. Well, she didn't ask for anything. So if she ever comes forward and asks, but seriously, thank you for your willingness, Amber, and for your commitment to
Absolutely.
this district. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Our next item up for information is the fourth quarter travel report. Making this presentation is Dr. Joel Ramsdale, Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction. And this is in conjunction with policy DLCA travel expenses, GCL professional staff development. Dr. Ramsdale.
Good evening, Board, Superintendent Patton, colleagues, families. For the record, we are giving our fourth quarter fiscal year 25-26 travel report for informational purposes, covering all of our out-of-area professional development from April 1st through June 30th. During this final quarter, the district experienced a scheduled surge in professional development travel expenditures totaling over $100,000. This single quarter accounted for 71.9% of our entire fiscal year's travel budget. This concentration of spending was a planned strategic utilization of resources before the close of the fiscal year. Our federal programs drove the entirety, almost the entirety of this $89,309.17 to be exact, compared to just $18,000 spent the first through third quarters by the federal programs. PD 1% amounted to $12,239.13. Every dollar spent directly advances our CSIP staffing and workforce goal. Our strategies focus on providing high quality training to certified and non-certified staff to build capacity, boost morale, and improve district retention rates. Our key cohorts of educators, instructional coaches, principals attended high-impact national conferences, including PLC at Work, International Society for Technology and Education Live, and the Model Schools Conference. In summary, these expenditures are fully budgeted, heavily offset by federal allocations, and strictly tied to investing in our workforce to improve student outcomes. Thank you for your time and always your support. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Dr. Ramsdale, can you talk about PD 1%, what that is and how much we have to spend? And
Absolutely. So PD 1%, we get a certain percentage off of our total budget allotment, 1%. And we are required by law to spend 75% of that 1% that we receive that goes towards professional development. We can spend that for certified staff, not necessarily uncertified, so we have to allocate different monies for that. But we are required by law to spend 75% of that, and this year we had around $140,000 that we had to spend. So we've done a pretty good job.
thank you. All right, thank you. And you may as well stay there. Dr. Ramsdale, the CSIP end of the year presentation is next. Our next item up for discussion is the CSIP end of the year presentation. Making this presentation is the district leadership team, and this is in conjunction with policy IA, instructional goals, priorities, and objectives.
Good evening again. Along with our leadership team, I'm pleased to present our Comprehensive School Improvement Plan, or CSIP, end of the year presentation for this school year. Tonight's briefing serves as a dual purpose, concise, succinct presentation of our superintendent's goals. First, it fulfills our commitment to ensuring that multiple sources of data are transparently used to improve student learning outcomes. Secondly, it provides a clear accounting of our instructional practices and the resources being managed to support these district priorities. This presentation, which will look at all 5 strands of our CSIP: student performance, collaborative climate and culture, staffing and workforce, attendance, and college and career readiness, will look honestly at our data from the past year. We will review our implementation fidelity using the DESE scoring rubric, provide an overview of our progress against our long-term SMART goals, celebrate our major academic milestones, confront our ongoing growth opportunities. Finally, we will outline our concrete, immediate next steps to ensure success as we transition into next school year. With that, let's begin. There's our 5 strands that we'll be covering. This should look very familiar. This is our current CSIP, which was from 2023 through 2026. So we'll be writing a new one next year. What we did this year, we created a CSIP implementation rubric. So we have to assess the fidelity with which we're implementing our strategies that we've selected. So if you look at the bottom, there's a scoring guide that is aligned with what the state is also going to assess us on. 4 is blue, it's fully implemented. 3 is mostly implemented. 2 is partially implemented, and that's yellow. And then red is 1 not implemented. So we have met as subcommittees on a monthly basis and as a district steering committee on a quarterly basis, looking at each of our strands, each of our goals, and each of our action steps, and self-assessed the fidelity of which we're implementing each of those. So you'll be seeing charts. This is a different look at what we're doing. I tried to make sure this was quantitative because data doesn't lie. So we are looking at this through a data lens.
Okay.
So I will be doing student performance. That is our first strand. As you remember, our goal is to improve our APR from 66.4% to 78.4%. Below that, you can see in the boxes, our science goal was to improve 10%, math 15%, and ELA 10%. At the bottom of the slide are our 2025 MAP results. As you can see, there are red X's. We did not meet our goals, which as we start developing our next goals, we need to be asking ourselves, is this truly a SMART goal? Is it something that's measurable? But more importantly, is it something that's attainable? That is the A. So we need to be looking at something that is realistic, time-driven, but most importantly, attainable. Here's the chart that I was referencing. So as you look at this chart, you can see most of the areas are green, some are yellow. Green means that we are mostly implemented. Yellow means that we are partially implemented. On the left-hand side are our two big student performance goals. And then across the top are all the dates of all of our meetings. You can see at the final right-hand column, the change. We have grown in each area, which I'm very, very proud of because I do lead this group. So I'm very, very happy to say that we have grown in each of our areas throughout the year. What I will advise is that if our scores aren't getting us what we want, we can continue growing and improving, but we need to see that result then drilled down to the student level. Our big milestones for the year, ELA specifically, our early literacy expanded our highest student bracket, growing from exceeds from 9.9% to 11.8%. And this was driven by our strong winter instruction. In ELA, we actually achieved across 7 of our 12 grade levels improvement and had a high school growth goal of 24% proficiency. That was a great success. And then in math, we had a 16.9% growth, propelling a district high to 2.8% across the entire district, but our elementary, especially Moline. Thank you so much. Showing that great growth. And very proud of our growth. Very, very proud. We do need to focus on, as you'll see on the next screen, we talked about this at our last meeting, the spring slump. When we take our STAR Renaissance assessments, you will see growth from fall to winter, and then all of a sudden there's a decline in the spring. Is it test fatigue? What is that? How can we more proactively address that? So that is something that we need as a district to truly address, because this is not just reading, it's reading, math, it is across the board. So we need to figure out how can we address that. The second critical area is our foundational early childhood literacy deficit. There's a chart there. We had a huge drop, a deficit of with 52.6% of our scholars stranded at risk. So Dr. Patton's favorite word is foundational. I think what we're doing with Moline, with our UFly and our Amplify programs is going to truly address that. So I cannot wait
I'm
to
excited.
see how this changes over the next year. And then in math, we have several sites that have acute problems in the area of math. So as we're looking at this for next year, we can now proactively send out our instructional coach, Dr. Mott, myself, and others to really work on math in those schools specifically, knowing, for example, Lewis and Clark didn't have a certified teacher. How can we better provide professional development in the area of math? Because you will hear, I'm not a mathematician. I'm not a scientist. That is a mindset that needs to be fixed, that can be fixed through professional development. Our next steps, overhaul our early childhood literacy and universal tier 1 math to make sure that everyone has access to great instruction. Execute a diagnostic at the fourth quarter to really kind of figure out this fourth quarter slump. What I will say, Kansas does a few things right. Kansas does their state assessments in March. They don't wait until May. I think it's brilliant because our kids, after they've taken a fall benchmark, a winter benchmark, a spring benchmark, other assessments, CBMs, curriculum-based measures, they're tired. They are just tired of being tested. So what can we do in a better manner? And then looking again at the math and trying to figure out our high urgency needs for next year. Both of our middle schools need to be a focus for math, as well as a few of our elementary schools. Next up is collaborative climate and culture. Shortest ever. Go, sir.
Good evening again. Today, I'm proud to share the progress we've made in Strand 2, collaborative climate and culture. Of course, a positive school and district culture is imperative to the success of student learning. To achieve this, we focus on 4 core indicators: maintaining a safe and caring environment, fostering high academic and behavioral expectations, building collaborative partnerships, and deeply involving our parents and guardians. Here are SMART goals. You see for climate and culture, we wanted to increase 10% positivity rate in the metrics. And in terms of student discipline, we wanted to decrease the out-of-school suspension days by 10%. And I'm proud to say we achieved these goals. So when you look at the climate and culture staff survey, back in 2022, we were at 46% positive rating from our community. And now this 77%, this was actually in the fall because we just closed our summer surveys, but the summer surveys within 2% of the students and the staff. So it's about the same. So we went from 46% to 77% for community. When you look at staff members, we went from 49% in 2022 to 82%. And this is them rating the climate and culture of their school, of the district in general. For our suspension, likewise, we went from 217 suspensions, which was a 4.2% rate. The goal was 181. We went down to 68 suspensions. And so we lowered that from 4.2% percentage down to 1.4. So let's give a round of applause for reducing that suspension rate.
Well, not only that, Ishmael, but also can you go back one
Mhm.
for the climate and culture from the community as well as the staff? I think that is awesome. I will say that I believe that it's important, the communication that your team does with all of telling the story about what's really happening. To me, that represents Riverview Gardens taking their narrative and not letting a narrative be told about us.
Right.
And we do that with effective communication that you're doing. So hats off to you and your team for making that happen.
Thank you. And back in 2022, we didn't survey students then. I believe we started in 2023, but for students, their scores have improved about 15% over that time as well. So we're seeing that across the board.
That's great.
Our progress, as you can see, we have increased from about 3.33 to 3.73 in terms of the implementation score that we've gotten. So all of these are pretty much at sorry, it is hard to read, but let me pull this. But all of these are at either nearly implemented or fully implemented. And so we've done well there. For staff community building, we elevated the well-being belonging through convocation, end of the year celebration, Project Aware Wellness Days. For parent participation, we have Father's Walks, our family dinners, and those have been a hit. In terms of MTSS, we've implemented SABRE screener, strengthened our care teams, and expanded community partnerships for whole child support. And these are kind of the same. Growth opportunities, optimizing our survey. We're always looking to improve that. Some of that will be shortening the questions. Some of that will be improving the timing and just always reevaluating the surveys and trying to get that participation high. Sustaining staff initiatives. We plan to expand internal staff engagement by partnering with the Education Foundation to have sustainable fundraisers to help continue to promote these staff events. We want to enhance our family engagement. One of our strategies is to partner with our schools because what we noticed is our schools, they bring the parents out in droves. When Moline Elementary, when they have an event featuring the students, parents are packed. If we have a district-wide event, it may or may not be. And so we're gonna join some of those school events and bring our resource fairs there to increase that reach. And then unifying MTSS, we are striving to just have a consistent structure across the district. So regardless of which school you go into, they're doing the same practices, they have the same standards at every school just to make that consistent. And are we doing questions at the end?
Yes.
Okay. And so that is collaborative climate and culture. I will turn it over for staffing and workforce.
That is hard to say. Good evening, board members. colleagues, community. The goal of the staffing and workforce strand of our CSIP is to increase the district's employee fill rate by 40% by spring of 2026. I am pleased to report that since 2022, Riverview Gardens School District has exceeded that goal by increasing our overall fill rate by 82%. This significant progress has been, I'll go back there. The significant progress has been achieved through several strategic initiatives. We have developed strong recruitment pipelines and partnerships with the local universities, colleges, technical schools to attract highly qualified candidates. We have expanded our outreach efforts through community job fairs, career events, and partnerships with local organizations to increase awareness of employment opportunities within the district. Additionally, we have invested in the talent and development by creating pathways for paraprofessionals and support staff to pursue teaching certifications. And through these partnerships with educational preparation programs, we have also strategically utilized international recruitment to address the persistent high need vacancies and ensure that students have access to qualified educators in critical subject areas. When you look at this slide in terms of our progress, most of our progress we have identified as mostly implemented. It is mostly implemented because it is still an ongoing process. And even though we have made great strides in some of these areas, we are still looking to make them stronger and to ensure that our staff are reaching all of those goals. And we are through our improvement plan. I've already talked about some of our milestones. Our milestones have been in our recruitment pipelines, international staffing, staff incentives, and continuing education programs that we have developed. We've had several paraprofessionals or long-term substitutes. I believe in the past 3 years, it has been 10 that have gone from being long-term substitutes or instructional assistants to being certified teachers that we were able to hire in and retain within our district. Growth opportunities. As we begin developing our next steps in our strategic goals, we'll continue to focus on expanding recruitment pipelines, strengthening our partnerships, and creating opportunities to grow our own talent through internal advancement and certification programs. Equally, we will continue investing in employee engagement, workplace culture, and retention initiatives to ensure that Riverview Gardens is a destination district where talented individuals choose to come and build and sustain their careers. Next, I'll turn it over to the attendance strand. Ms. Terry.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Attendance remains one of the most important factors impacting student success, and improving attendance continues to be a district priority. So if you look at our SMART goals, our goal is to increase proportional attendance, defined as students attending at least 90% of the time by approximately 20% annually. We improved on the first year. You see we have the green check mark. We improved to 55%. The second year, the results went down to 42.9%, but I do want to note that we do not believe that that is accurate. We have been working with our new vendor Focus to try to get more accurate numbers, so that is kind of pending until they reevaluate that entire year. So in the next year, in 2026, our results increased to 70.1%. So that is something to applaud, because that's a big
That's
activity.
awesome.
While we did not fully reach the target, we made significant progress and improved attendance by more than 27% points compared to the previous year. The trend is moving in the right direction, and we will continue focusing on strategies that support student engagement and daily attendance. Okay. Okay. During the 25-26 school year, we focused on strengthening attendance systems and interventions across the district. So in our first goal, in every category, I believe we increased. The first goal, the greatest growth occurred in our Tier 1 MTSS pyramid implementation. The scores increased from 2.43 to 3.29, demonstrating strong universal support for all students. In the second goal, continuum of support, our tier intervention also showed growth from 2% to 2.67%. This indicates we are providing more targeted support for students experiencing attendance challenges. In the third tier, intensive intervention improve early and maintain stability throughout the year. These interventions are helping us provide individualized support for our highest need students. So our overall progress, we improved from 1.98 in November to 2.65 by April. This demonstrates that our systems and practices are becoming stronger and more consistent. The work is paying off. Stronger systems leads to stronger outcomes, and we are seeing evidence of that growth. So on the attendance milestone, what I have here is Moline for consistency. They served as a model of consistency throughout the year. They maintained strong attendance and avoided the several seasonal declines experienced by many schools. So that should probably be a benchmark school to find out what they're doing. It was a strong start overall for our back-to-school efforts, produced the highest district attendance average of the year, reaching nearly 84%. Several schools exceeded 90, demonstrating what is possible when strong engagement and support. So spring recovery, after experiencing typical winter declines, the district successfully rebounded during the spring, and attendance climbed back to nearly 70% in April, with schools such as Lewis and Clark and Glasgow showing significant gains. Although we still have work to do, we are encouraged by the progress that we made. So these are some of the growth opportunities. It talks about the January slump that we just talked about, standardizing the high school and Success Academy engagement, and the May plunge across specific campuses. The next steps to success. So is design and launch a winter engagement campaigns. That's to constantly be proactive in our outreach approach, and conduct a deep dive audit of secondary and alternative programs, and establish an end of year Finish Strong initiative. So improving attendance is not a one-year effort. It requires consistent support, strong relationships, and collaboration among schools, families, and the community. Our focus moving forward is to build up these successes, sustain and momentum, and ensure that every student is present, engaged, and positioned for academic success. Attendance is directly tied to student achievement. Every day matters and every student matters. We are committed to continuing this work so that all students have the opportunity to succeed academically and socially. Any questions?
They told us to wait.
College? I'm sorry?
They told us to wait.
Okay.
Good evening. Today, I'm proud to share the 25-26 progress for Strand 5, College and Career Readiness, on behalf of our College and Career Coordinator, Ms. Khadijah Tijan. Our strategic efforts have yielded incredible results. We successfully hit our target of 75% for post-secondary assessment completion, more than doubling our 2023 baseline. Additionally, we exceeded our four-year graduation goal, reaching 78% against our 75% target. Our five-year goal, I know you all understand that the DESE gives us points for 4-year, 5-year, 6-year, and 7-year. And I just want to let you know that our 5-year goal is poised to be above 80%, where we will receive maximum points. Looking at our implementation metrics, our average score, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be doing this. Looking at our implementation metrics, our average score rose to 3.47. Our biggest driver of growth was goal 5.1, where we saw a significant 83% jump by tightening our policy infrastructure, aligning student ICAPs, and maximizing early warning tracking. Our remaining indicators for dual enrollment, advanced coursework supports, and graduation tracks held steady, proving that our foundational frameworks are being strengthened. Turning to our college and career readiness milestones, our focus on student outcomes has translated into major academic and financial victories. Not only did our students hit key graduation and testing marks, but our graduates were also awarded over $36 million in scholarships and aid between 2023 and 2026. We have successfully expanded our advanced academic pipeline by partnering with St. Louis Community College to launch our early college and CTE academies. Behind the scenes, our administrators and counselors meet biweekly and spend dedicated time in June analyzing master schedules to prepare for the upcoming 26-27 school year. Finally, we know that school culture drives success. By revitalizing our incentive structures through programs like Club 21, where we recognize those graduates who have earned an ACT score of 21 or higher, and PBIS rewards, honoring achievements like our December 2025 National Honor Society induction, we are fostering an environment where scholars want to excel. To maintain this trajectory, we must target our key growth opportunities. First is simply data integrity. Transitioning between our old student information system and our new system, Focus, has created some integration challenges. We are actively conducting transcript audits and meeting weekly with our representative to guarantee 100% data accuracy. Second, we are expanding targeted test prep for our core assessments, specifically focusing on strengthening math and English skills. We are also working to intentionally grow our CTE pathway enrollment and the access that we have to courses available on our campus. Lastly, we will maximize community outreach by strengthening our deep partnerships with local university access programs like TRIO, UMSL Bridge, SLU Upward Bound, and College Bound. Our roadmap moving forward centers on 3 pillars: student engagement, structured guidance, and early exposure. We will maintain our daily advisory routines, use live school rewards, provide college and career access opportunities, and hold monthly grade level town halls to ensure student expectations remain at a high level. For students needing academic safety nets, we are strengthening our supports through Rams Recovery and Success Academy offerings. Our guidance will remain proactive, with counselors delivering structured, grade-level lessons to reinforce career planning while we simultaneously deepen our dual credit pipelines with St. Louis Community College and North County Tech. Finally, we are looking outward and upward, forging new community mentorships and apprenticeships for our high school scholars, while introducing early college and career exposure to our elementary and middle school scholars. Building this culture early ensures that readiness is a continuous standard across the entire district. And I'll turn it back over to Dr. Ramsdale.
In summary, and as you can see, Riverview Gardens School District staff, students, and families are working very hard to improve our district, as evidenced by our results. In summary, the district average implementation score successfully moved from a 2.99 to a 3.41. We're always looking for that continuous growth in incremental steps. This is a 10% growth for our district. That is something we are looking for. We're not looking for big jumps. Student performance reached the highest overall implementation rate of a 3.69. We still have work to do. Attendance saw the most significant improvement, rising 0.42 points, but we still have work to do. Our next steps are to leverage this data to establish core priorities for our next CSIP 2027-2030, to additionally formalize community engagement through a newly formed steering committee, and to author our new master plan while systematically aligning all of our building level plans as well. At this time, we thank you for your attention to our more concise presentation and are happy to answer any questions you may have.
My question actually is for Ms. White. I know that everyone in the district is working so hard. Yeah, right, really, you are. I know that everyone in the district is working very hard to improve attendance. That's like everybody's goal. So I want to know, Ms. White, since you've seen the most growth in that area, what do you attribute? And I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I just want to know your secret. You can give me later. What do you attribute your successful growth in student attendance? And is there anything that you and your staff at Moline Acre is doing differently?
So I can answer the first question easily. I think that our growth in attendance is attributed to the culture that we create at school, which is, you'll see kids walking around like this all the time, and this doesn't mean peace. This means, thank you, Ms. Nave, teaching and learning. And I do believe that when kids begin to feel the successful academic outcomes, that they are motivated to be at school, that they want to be there because they feel the growth and progress. And so really all of the strands of this CSIP kind of feed together. Increased academic achievement does lead to increased attendance. I will also say that we have a dynamic attendance team of our attendance secretary, Ms. Shaver, our home to school coordinator, Ms. Walker, and our guidance counselor, Mr. O. And they know every day who is present at school. Somebody walks in the door, where were you yesterday? We missed you. Or if somebody's, here at 8:20, what's up? You're late, you're 15 minutes, what happened? They are knocking on doors, which everybody doesn't love, and some people actually really appreciate somebody that will reach out and care. So they are really boots on the ground, but I believe it is about the culture that is created that is focused on academic achievement because kids want to be present at school. And we help them begin to understand their independence in getting there. When you're 5, it's really hard. Somebody's got to get you up. But by the time you're 8 or 9, you are starting to be in a routine of things, and we're trying to help them learn how to bother their parents to make sure that they make it to school. I won't speak on behalf of other people's attendance teams or what kind of people are out doing, because I think a lot of people are doing some of those same things. So I don't want to speak about necessarily what other schools are doing, but I do know it's been a big focus, and there has been significant gains in attendance across every single building. But it's a target in our school. We know every year our goal is to increase by between 8 to 10%. And we have, I believe, hit that goal. I don't know. They were cleaning it. We did? Okay, good.
And I will add that Amber probably won't say is that one of the things that that I noticed that she did when I first came here in 2020 was that every new parent, she meets with them. She meets with them and sets the expectation for academics, for attendance. She meets with them. If a student is in the classroom misbehaving, I can't tell you how many times I've walked in our office, there are 4 kids in there, they're
Every time.
working. If you can't work in your classroom, you're going to work here, and they're just not sitting in timeout. She has them working. So when she talks about creating the climate and culture that students want to be in, she sets it from the time the parents register and walk in the door. And that makes a difference. That's creating the foundation for what happens at Moline. And so she's not going to say that, and I will.
I forgot.
But it's not just her, it's her entire team. She holds everybody accountable. And here's what's more important. Everybody holds themselves accountable. And that is what is making a difference. As a matter of fact, I'll speak to this entire presentation, which I was teary-eyed going through because we are doing it. And I cannot begin to tell you how proud I am of what we're doing. We are doing it. They didn't believe that we could, and we are doing it because everybody is committed. It's not just Tanya Patton, it's Tracy Nave, it's Amber White, it's Joel Ramsdale, it's Ishmael Sistrunk, it's Dr. Larry, it's every single person is holding themselves accountable to the success of this district. So I sit here as a very proud superintendent of the Riverview Garden School Districts, and I'm sorry, but I'm
Drive it
very
up. We still
proud.
got work to do. Come on.
We still have work to do. We still.
Yeah.
So
We're gonna
thank
get it.
you,
There's
and
more.
anybody else who wants to ask questions.
Thank you, Ms. Patton.
Turn your mic.
My head is everywhere. I'm impressed with what this district has done.
Amen.
I got so much in my head, I don't even remember what I'm supposed to be saying. The APR, at the summer summit, we had an opportunity to review the APR And our attendance rate last year was like 50-something%. And you saying now it's up to 74%?
70.1.
So now I know that's 1 point we're gonna receive.
Yes, absolutely.
That's
For the
good.
first time in years,
Yeah,
for the first time in years, we will get attendance
Yeah.
point.
yeah, yeah. In this room, we congratulate the entire staff. But I need this information to be broadcasted out in the community to see what Riverview Garden School District is doing. So is it okay with the board and the staff that's present that I start contacting the news media to get some more insight and that, hey, Riverview Garden is an outstanding school. We're not what people think. And that information came from a board meeting I attended with Bellefonte Neighbors. Her name was Barbara West. She said, Mr. Williams, we're not the ones who should be addressing this information to. We're seeing citizens now. But you need to get this information out to the public. And she has a point. Nobody knows what Riverview Garden is doing except us. So with someone's help, let's get this information out there. I mean, this all takes outstanding pictures. Yeah. See? So I just commend this Riverview Gardens staff and board for
Thank
what
you.
they've done.
Thank you,
Thank
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 you.
you. I would like to have this posted on the website if that,
Yep.
under CNI or under the CSIP.
We can get it on the website, on our first Facebook pages, on our social media. I'll be going out, meeting at the different municipalities, and we'll be talking about our successes. Because I agree with you, Mr. Williams, this needs to be told. And this isn't easy. It isn't easy, but everybody shows up every single day, working hard to make a difference. And thank you, staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Way to start trouble, Dr. Ramsdale. Now you, thank you. Does that conclude your presentation? Okay, thank you. We can move into items for discussion, Madam President.
I had to get
That's
reduced.
okay.
I had to get reduced up. Okay, items for discussion.
Yes, ma'am. Our first item up for discussion is the 2026-27 board workshop. Ms. Terry will go over our closing school year budget as well as our budget stepping into 26-27. Ms. Stephanie Terry is our CFO, and this presentation is in conjunction with DIAA fund balance and DB annual. budget. Ms. Terry?
Okay. We're ready? Good afternoon, Board President, Superintendent, Board members, and the community. Thank you for joining us for tonight's budget workshop and FY 26-27 proposed budget. The purpose is to provide transparency and review our financial realities. Our theme tonight is simple. Every student, every dollar, every decision matters. This is what we will be discussing tonight. This workshop is not simply about numbers, it's about ensuring that every decision aligns with student success and the future of Riverview Garden. So this graphic is just a reminder that revenues comes from more than one source. No single source funds the district. Every dollar works together to support the district. So hopefully I present this as a tool for everybody so that people can understand. Because the more I say it, the more you'll become familiar with where revenue comes from in the district. Oh, sorry. Went too far, too fast. Okay. So the budgeting is a year-long process. The budget is not a static document and it can be changed as the district needs change. So I just wanted to give you a graphical representation of how I come up with the budget in the budget department. Budget 101, this is just a recap of definitions. So we clearly understand revenue, expenditures, fund balance, and cash flow for the district. So the costs continue. This is just the current financial reality. Our costs continue to increase faster than our revenues. That's the reality that we're faced with today. Just a reminder of the fund balance importance. The fund balance allows us to operate through the year before we receive property taxes, before they are collected throughout the year. We do not receive property taxes until October, November, December of the year. So we have to operate as a district, and that is what your fund balance is typically used for. So enrollment, this graphic is just a graphic explanation of enrollment growth and shows how retention is essential to the district and long-term financial health, as enrollment changes have a direct impact on funding. So I just want to say that again. Attendance has a direct impact on the funding that we receive for the district. So this is just an example of the financial impact of enrollment loss. And this is just an example for our district. If we lose 3% of our students, that amounts to approximately $1 million. If we lose 5%, that's 1.7 million. If we lose 10% of our students, and that's about 500 students, that's about $3.4 million loss for the district. So this is just an example. Student enrollment is everyone's responsibility. Every student matters financially and academically. Again, there are several factors that are placing pressure on revenues, making strategic planning more important than ever. The recurring theme is decline in revenues for the next several years. So as you can see, this represents tight times. Local revenues may decline due to senior tax freeze impact, state funding decline in revenue, federal decline in revenue, and enrollment decline reduces revenue across the board. So those are the realities that we're facing as a school district. So these are our expenditures. Most of our expenditures are essential to operating the schools and supporting students. These are our main categories, with our largest category being salaries and benefits, transportation, utilities, special education costs, and instructional resources. That is where the district spends its money. This is another slide that I thought it was very important that we have, because we have made significant progress. But as we say, we still have work to do. We went from 23 million down to 8 to 9 million ending this year, and projecting 4 to 5 million for ending of 27. So significant work has been done. We have already made difficult decisions and continue to evaluate operations across the board. These are just some examples of all of the actions that the district has already taken. So with the proposition in impact, I want to state that we appreciate RGSD community, because without the voters, we would not be here. This would have not passed without our voters. They support and have confidence in the district. That's what it says to me. So although we have things in place that will impact the local revenues, such as senior tax freeze, it will offset by the proposition in money that we're scheduled to receive in this year. Budget priorities. Our budget simply reflects what matters most is students. All of this is for the betterment of the students. District opportunities and cost savings. We must pursue both opportunities, cost savings as well as revenue opportunities. We have to. It go hand in hand. So this is just an example. I know we talk about operating tax levy and presenting it to the voters. This is just an example of what the impact would be to a resident in Riverview Gardens, a homeowner of approximately $150,000, and how it would impact them monthly based on if we had an increase from 10 cents to $1. The highest increase at $1 would bring in approximately $3.7 million. And the lowest of 10 cents will bring in $371,000. That is just an example. We do know that future revenue discussions would involve community engagement and board consideration. So I included this QR code so that the community will be able to respond back and to identify from their perspective, what should be protected? What should be the district's priorities? Where can we find efficiencies and how should revenue be used? Because we can't do this alone without the community involvement of the board and the community. So this is an opportunity to provide feedback. So you can share this to all Riverview Garden School District, community, parents, anyone, so they can provide feedback so we can generate a list of all responses. So right now, this was the part of the budget workshop. I will be presenting the proposed budget presentation next, and the board will have the opportunity to review, and we have to adopt the budget by June 30th, 2026, with the implementation of July 1 with the new budget. And in closing, financial stewardship is about making difficult decisions while keeping students at the center of every conversation. We have made meaningful progress. However, sustaining the district for future generations will require collaboration and support from our community. Thank you. Any questions?
We did the no tax increase.
Ms. Morville, turn on your microphone.
We did the no tax increase bond issue. You ever thought about selling some of those bonds to the community?
No, not.
Can that be done?
Can that be done? That's something that I would have to research.
Please research
I
it because
can
I think
research
it
that
can
with
be.
our bond counsel. So I will
I think
research
it
that.
can be.
Okay, I will research that. Okay, so the
I have
next.
one question,
Oh,
Ms.
sorry.
Terry.
Uh-huh.
Regarding the possibility of tax levy, and
Mhm.
isn't there a maximum percent that the district can assess?
Yeah, all of, like I said, that would be greater consideration. We would have to work with Stiefel and our bond counsel and they provide those projections for us.
But does that number change year to year? I thought there was a maximum amount by state government. Maybe I'm thinking of something different. There
No,
isn't?
I'm not
Okay.
sure, yeah. Okay. Again, I can provide further research, but I work collaboratively with Stiefel and our bond counsel.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I will be moving into the second part of the presentation. Oh, we have one more question. I'm sorry. Shawnee.
So we can see how important it is. We need a tax levy, but without the public understanding how important it is,
Right.
it's gonna be that fight of, why does school need this? Why do they need that? I don't have any more money, but if they understood what we're going through and they see what we're doing, we have a better chance of passing tax levy.
I agree. Dr. Patton and I have already discussed that, having more workshops throughout the year so that, and it's something similar when Linda Quinley came. I can present, Dr. Patton will present, but we do need to get the community involved so they can understand the importance of the, if we request the operating tax levy. Any other questions? Okay, I will be moving.
I did have,
Oh, sorry.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think it's important also, and this might not sound like it makes much sense, but I think it's important that we find out how this tax freeze works. Because I was told that in the long run, you're really not saving, even though they're freezing it, you're really not saving
That's correct.
that much. So I think that we need to do some research into that too, to tell people, because I'm just gonna be honest with you.
Mhm.
Riverview Garden stood out like a sore thumb on my taxes,
Mhm.
but because I understand what we're doing, I did not sign up for the tax freeze.
Okay.
But some people are gonna look at that and see that it does stick out like a sore thumb. So we need to be able to educate them about the tax freeze and anything else that we can educate them on
to understand where we stand and why we need their
And,
help.
and just for clarification, the
Mhm.
tax freeze does not eliminate the seniors from paying tax.
It
It
doesn't,
just
I know
freezes
that.
them, but some folks don't know. It
Right.
just freezes them at the rate that they are.
Exactly.
So,
And so they need to understand, they don't really understand it. When they hear freeze, they thinking, it's gonna be
eliminated.
exactly. And so we really need to do our part to educate them as far as that's concerned.
And that's part of the community feedback.
Yeah.
If we need to have more workshops, the topics, so we can have those things so that the community has a better understanding of the battle that
Right.
Riverview is up against. Okay. So I can move on to the, okay, so I'm going to move on to the second session of the workshop, of the budget proposal. This is the FY 26-27 proposed budget. As we know, this is our 3-year CSIP plan of review. All financial decisions should be in line with the CSIP goals. This is our agenda. And this is our budget overview. Okay, the proposed budget reflects the financial realities facing school districts across Missouri. Revenues continue to be impacted by reductions in local, state, and federal funding revenues. So projected this year, I was advised to budget conservatively. So what you will see is 69.3 million due to a warning issued by DESE. This is the first time, as Ms. Linda Quinley stated, that DESE has issued a warning to be very mindful in how we budget our revenue. As Dr. Patton alluded to, the state typically says, okay, we're gonna fund you $7,100. But now they're advising us, do not budget at that rate. It will be closer to 6,800 or less. So we did budget conservatively. So you can see it reflects in the revenue that I have identified for 26-27. If you look in comparison, the revenue that we projected for this year was 73.2 million, and we're projecting a revenue of 69.3. As I indicated, I do feel that it's very conservative. However, I have to watch the budget throughout the year. And as I indicated, the budget is not a static document. It can change based on the realities that we face. So we may see more amendments to the budget as we find out more information. So if you look at the next slide, this is our fund balance projection trend. So in 2024, we had 37.19%. And 27, we are projecting a fund balance of 0.46%. And that is if we do nothing. So I want to be clear. My numbers are very conservative, but this is if we do nothing. Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Patton,
Yes, ma'am.
this 24 fund balance,
Mhm.
was that a real number based on everything that we know was going on in the district and the finance department?
That is a very real
It's-
number.
it's a
That actually was accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
And prior to that, it was 45, then it went down to 36. So you can see each year that the fund balance, we are using our fund balance instead of reserving our fund balance.
Right,
So-
and so let me add to that, board members and Ms. Lane, that is, we had a lot of ESSER funding.
Right.
And so we were using the ESSER funding to do a lot of the things that we would have normally gone into the fund balance to purchase. And so once the funding was taken back, and we put things in places, hired employees, gave raises, all of that, those costs, started to eat away at the fund balance. And so that's what created the $23 million deficit. That is what we have been resolving, but it is much like going into your savings to cover things to move money to your checking, to take care of your daily life, your house payment, your car payment. And so, yes, ma'am, that is a true number. That is what ESSER funds. And it was true, but it wasn't our reality. It wasn't our true reality.
Okay, so maybe I didn't phrase question correctly.
Mhm.
It was true, but it wasn't our reality.
It was not our reality.
Because I recall something totally different.
Yes, our,
Thank you.
yes.
Yes.
So, and I want to also point out 26 projected fund balance. Currently, I'm projecting it at 12.87%, but that number is not finalized. That number can go down or it can go up based on any additional revenue that we receive from now until the 30th of the month, or any bills that we have to pay. I think we have one more payroll cycle, as well as bills that need to be paid. So, I'm monitoring that and I update that as much as I can, but we will have a finalized number soon as our audit is about to start taking place, so. So under capital and debt, again, we just want to show appreciation to the voters, and it symbolizes that they care because they keep passing things that we need to help support the district. So key budget reductions, staff reductions, some of the things that we have done, reduce discretionary spending and professional service contracts, budgeting unfilled position at standard placeholder rates to control cost estimates, required reduced budgets at every level for the 26-27 school year. We have implemented difficult decisions to slow deficit as much as we can control. So our strategic priorities, student achievement, teacher recruitment and retention. Although we are in financial challenges, we continue to prioritize student achievement and employee retention. We have a 1% stipend built in for 27 for teachers only. This is based on a 169-day incentive issued by DESE. We're doing what we can despite our challenges.
So let me explain that DESE gives the district 1% of our ADA based for teachers. We have to use the money for teachers. So that is the money that is being used. We can't take the money and put it into our fund balance. We have to use it for the teachers. So we're not doing raises because raises are reoccurring. So we are doing stipends, and all of that money that DESE provides to us will go toward the reason they're providing it to us, and it is strictly for teachers.
And I also want to point out that I know we talked about ESSER a lot. So I do want to point out that all of the ESSER expenses have been phased out, with the exception of board-approved raises for the past 3 years. We cannot reduce people's salary if they had raises. So everything else that was associated with ESSER expenses, we've reduced those. So we've done the best that we can do to reduce those expenses. We continue to monitor the staffing levels in relationship to enrollment trends and needs. That's why we meet occasionally. Mr. Ford is probably, we're meeting more often than he is used to. So we're definitely constantly looking at our staffing as it relates to our enrollment numbers. We're exploring revenue opportunities, including the potential levy adjustments, as that's why I put the example of what the impact would be to the community. And just trying to maintain communication with all stakeholders. So that's some of the things that we are doing as well. So in creating this budget, the revenue assumptions that I had, property tax revenue is based on our current assessed valuation and historical collection trends, because typically we collect, I say maybe 90% of the revenue that we project. So you have to take that into consideration when you're doing the budgeting. I included the $730,000 from Proposition N that we're projected to receive starting in October, November, December. That money will flow in when we receive our local revenues. It's nothing we have to do. It will automatically come in with the debt service transfer.
And that money grows every year, so every year
Yes.
it increases.
So, and I accounted for the impact of the senior tax freeze in my revenue assumptions. I anticipated state funding projected using the Missouri Foundation formula estimates, federal revenue based on currently awarded allocations, and enrollment projected at approximately 4,900 to 5,000 students. No new significant revenue sources assumed. We are budgeting conservatively and will adjust throughout the year. Yes, ma'am.
So, I don't know how this would impact us, but the proposed proposition of no state income tax that is now will be on the ballot.
Yeah.
How is that going to affect us?
At this time, I haven't run the numbers on how that would impact us, but that's something that I can follow up with.
I mean, you,
It will
Just-
impact us.
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I appreciate but we don't need to
We know it will
Just-
impact.
because if we don't have state income tax, then what?
Yeah, it's a lot. I'm more of a numbers person, so I do like to,
Me a
the
number.
research to give you the number before I speak to it.
So yes, Ms. Lane, she's the numbers person. I'm the realist. It is going to affect us.
Yeah.
And we cannot afford it, especially at where we are right now. So, no, it will affect us greatly. And so we will push back against that as much as we can.
So this is a graph that represents the proposed revenue by source. Source is how we receive our money in: local, county, state, federal. So I do have a side-by-side comparison. As you can see, the district relies heavily on state and local funding, making enrollment and legislative decisions extremely important. So we have to be mindful and we have to be in tune to legislation and all of the things that are gonna impact the district.
Mhm.
The next slide is just really the proposed revenues by fund and object code. It's kind of a requirement, so I have it in here so you can see by each line. So for example, the first line is the current taxes. That's the current taxes that we receive throughout the year. And the second line is the delinquent taxes. So those are taxes that we don't receive during that time frame. We may receive later in the year, as people may pay their taxes later. But this is the category for each, the revenues by fund and object code.
Mm.
And this is a continuation. And the last one is by fund and object code. These are continuations of the report based on funds. So some of the expenditure assumptions: salaries and benefits budget based on current staffing levels and approved compensation plans. Healthcare costs projected based on current market trends and renewal estimates. Utilities are increasing. Transportation costs are increasing. Our insurance is increasing, and contracted services reflect anticipated cost increases. So staffing adjustments and vacancy savings, including where appropriate, as you guys have witnessed. We're saving where we can. Overtime expenditures will continue to be closely monitored and controlled. Department budgets review for operational efficiencies and cost containment opportunities. And expenditures are going to align with district priorities: student achievement, safety, and support services. The budget assumes continued fiscal stewardship while maintaining essential programs and services. We are focused on maintaining essential services while exercising fiscal responsibility. So the next slide is the proposed expenditures, and I have a side-by-side comparison. So 58% or higher are personnel-related costs, demonstrating our commitment to investing in people. As you will review, you will see that purchase services increase due to our outsourcing our custodial staff. So if you look at the report year over year, it was an uptick of 25% from 17.1% to 25%, because now we're outsourcing, so that personnel costs probably went down a little, but it went up in the area of purchase services. So this is just our proposed expenditures by object code. Again, we have it by fund and object code as well. And this is just a continuation of the report. So our projected fund balance outlook. The declining fund balance trajectory is concerning, and it highlights the need for continued reductions. It's a combination of expenditure controls, enrollment stabilization, and revenue enhancement strategies. And I will add, because we talk about the community and we talk about the parents, attendance is important. That's the number one thing that we can change, that we have control over. If parents are making sure that the children are here, we get paid for butts and seats. We have to make sure that the children, attendance definitely does matter. So that's the one message that we need to walk away, and that's an area that we can improve based on the students showing up to school.
But the fiscal year 27, but fund balance at 0.46%.
Mhm.
At that point, well, before that point, isn't there a minimum that we are directed by DESI to have? And I
Yes,
don't remember.
3%. It's 3%.
Okay, so we're now below that, severely.
So
Below
that's
that.
ending 26, 27. That's if we do nothing. Remember, so where we are currently, we're at the 12.87%. That's what I'm projecting now, which is below the 15% threshold for the district. So that's where we are. So I am projecting that we will be below the 15%.
Which is our policy.
Yes, which is Riverview Garden School District policy. And if the fund balance, that's my next slide, I'm sorry. So if the fund balance falls below the 15% floor,
No, there was two.
the
different-
board will develop a plan to replenish the fund balance to the established minimum levels within 2 years. So it is two numbers. The 15% is the Riverview Garden policy, 3% is the state, when the state can come in and take over. So that's where we are.
Right, and that speaks to all the work
That's
that we've been
yes.
doing. That speaks to all of the reductions, that speaks to all of the plans, that speaks to the grant writer. We need millions of dollars. We don't need hundreds, we need millions, hundreds of thousands and millions. And so this is the plan this is the whole reason for it. I see this number, Ms. Terry and I, she's probably tired of me calling her down because we meet often. So I'm looking at these numbers every week, every day practically. And there is a alarming concern here,
Yes.
which is why we are bringing plans forward to reduce our budget, to bring in grants, to have somebody dedicated to bringing that in and focused on it. This is an urgent matter,
Yes.
and I cannot stress that enough.
Madam President,
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Ms.
Mhm.
Terry, when will the book settle for FY 26? Once all the bills come in, the expenditures, when will we know
Where
what
we
our,
end.
where we land?
Approximately after 6:30. I know we do still have permission to pay some of the bills that we accumulated this fiscal year. Once we try to cut it off at 6:30. Well, we do cut it off because we're cash basis. We do cut it off 6:30. And at that point, once we kind of regroup, we can give a better estimate of where we think we will land. And I think last year I said it was going to be 24.06% and we ended 24.03. So we'll have a good estimate of where we're going to land. So we just have to make sure that, with the auditing process, we need to make sure that things are in the correct categories where they need to be. If we see, unfortunately, if we see things that couldn't have been charged to a grant, then it may need to be put on GOB or the vice versa. So it could impact that. So,
And
Yes,
then
ma'am.
I have one more question.
I'm sorry.
And then Dr. Patton and Ms. Terry, for FY 27, if we end up below the DESI percentage of 3%, then what happens?
my
with-
next slide.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
So I saw on here, what is our current credit rating?
I think you asked me that before. I think it's double A.
Double A,
Um,
okay.
So the consequences of inaction. This is where we need to be very mindful. Fiscal risks. The district may run out of money, which is our fund balance, and I'm projecting that we will run out of our fund balance if we do nothing. The district will have issues paying staff and vendors on time. Higher borrowing costs due to low credit ratings or bonds that will impact that, just what Ms. Morrill just asked, that will impact us. Also, spending more than allowed violates the Missouri Chapter 67 spending limits because we're supposed to present a balanced budget. Our expenditures, our revenues are supposed to equal our expenditures, and right now, our expenditures exceed our revenue. The state could, now, I'm saying could, but this would happen if we're below the 3% or even in a particular fund, the state can come back this year and say they need to step in and require a recovery plan based on our fund balance in particular funds, because as you all may remember, I've been reporting that food service is masking our true deficit. That we have a high fund balance in the food service, but that's how they calculate the fund balance, including the food service. So that is true. So once we submit our paperwork to DESE, it could come back that way, so. School disruptions, and I mean myriad cuts to staff and programs or services, because as we're moving through the year, we may recognize that we need to cut more. Delays in repairs or equipment purchases because of the budget. And this is ultimately community impact, community concerns. These are all consequences of inaction if we don't move forward with some plans to continuously review and reduce the budget. This is a serious matter. So on our plan back to a balanced budget, while this budget reflects a deficit, it also reflects progress we have made. We inherited projections of a $23 million deficit. Through strategic reductions, we have reduced the gap to 7 to 8 million ending FY26 and projected 4 to 5 million ending 27. So it's just things that we've been saying all year. Minimize spending to maintain our fund balance. Align budget with district goals and objectives. Enhance revenue through grants, tax levy increases, working with our foundation, effective budgeting, necessary and effective spending, and just remaining transparent with the board and the community. So phase 4 budget reduction plan. Dr. Patton will be presenting it and has already presented it to the board. But I still want you to look at the progress. I know it's, when I speak, no one has all, cheers. But if you look at it, we had original projected deficit of 23 million. In 25-26, that deficit is now down to 8 to 9 million. In FY 26-27, projecting it to be 4 to 5 million. And to date, we've cut the budget by approximately 14 million. So progress, and people have been working.
I think, Ms. Terry, one of the most important things you said
Yeah.
was inherited.
Yes, we inherited.
I think we need to really pay attention to that.
Yes.
Because I think we're doing great considering what we were inherited.
Yes.
And misled to believe. And I know when I first started, Ms. Morrill used to beat up about that fund balance. I didn't even know what it was. Okay, but she always talked about that, and it's just we're here now, so we've got to move forward.
Yes. So the next steps, the Chapter 67 of the Missouri State Statute requires school districts to prepare an annual budget by June 30th of 2026. So we will be requesting a special board meeting to approve the FY 26-27 proposed budget prior to June 30th. While challenges remain, we will continue to make decisions that protect educational opportunities and preserve financial stability of Riverview Garden School District. And that's all I have. Any questions? Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Terry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Terry. What I will follow up to say to that is, we have made great strides. We will continue to make them. This has been hard work and, very tough decisions, but with the continued support of this board and what we bring forward, anything that's in front of you is for the betterment of our school district. And so, I appreciate the board's support on what we've been able to accomplish, and I look forward to what we can accomplish moving forward. And I will say, in spite of the $23 million deficit, in spite of that, our CSIP still shows us growing, still shows us improving, still shows that we are not giving up. So that will be the story that we tell, that we do not give up and we will not quit. Moving on to our next item for discussion is the 2026-27 staffing plan adjustments. Making this presentation is Mr. Travis Ford, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, and this is in conjunction with policy IHB, GCD, and GCA. Mr. Ford?
Good evening again, board members, Dr. Fadden, colleagues, and community. The proposed 26-27 staffing plan adjustment aligns personnel allocations with the district's current operational and programmatic needs while maintaining fiscal responsibility. The adjustments include the eliminations of 11 positions, 9 of which are currently vacant, the reclassification of 1 position to support the changing program needs, and a funding source adjustment for 1 federally funded position, and 2 additional federally funded positions supported through an increase in the comprehensive grant designated for a specific school site. The 1 reclassification will be budget neutral and will not add any additional impact on the general operating budget. The 2 additional federally funded positions will be federally funded and won't have any impact on the general operating budget. And the 11 reductions will be reduced from the general operating budget with an estimated total savings of $732,000. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the 2026-27 staffing plan adjustments as presented. This item will also be included on the consent agenda for consideration at the upcoming special board meeting. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item up for discussion is the E-rate consultant. Making this presentation is Dr. Larry. She is the Executive Director of Technology, and this is in conjunction with DJF, our policy DJF purchasing. Dr. Larry?
Good evening. I will make this very quick. We have participated in the E-rate program since 1999. Each year, the program becomes more complicated. There are more rules, more regulations. In fact, just recently, Dr. Patton and I received communication stating that changes were coming in the next year. We have each year received between $300,000 and $3 million. Because we've used an E-rate consultant to help us with those considerations, and I think it's a good idea because my staff has started sending me things like this. What they say is, see no E-rate, hear no E-rate, speak no E-rate. What that ultimately means is it falls on me and the consultant to make sure that we get all the funds that we can get.
And we need the full 3 million, Dr. Larry, in case you haven't heard.
I'm sure we do.
Okay, go ahead.
This is just an example of one of the invoices that I would receive. For our internet access, the bill from the service provider is $2,675. Because of E-rate, we only pay $200 for that. That's a monthly fee. I arrived in 2011. By 2012, we had received a demand letter from USAC, which funds the E-rate program, for $765,000. They wanted that money based on an audit that had occurred in the district in 2005. And yes, they can go back that far. Because of going through boxes, going through basements, et cetera, our district lawyer and our E-rate consultant made the government know that we were in compliance and we didn't have to pay that money.
Right.
To that end, we filed an RFP for an E-rate consultant. 3 companies responded. 3 companies responded. Don Dietrich, who's a local vendor, Infinity, which is out of California, and Kennedy and Associates, which is out of Dallas. That proposal, though it was the cheapest one for $12,500, was so poorly written, we were referred to as Conta District. I'm not sure where they thought we were, but I went through it like an English teacher, marking da-da-da. And I can assure you, the requirements for E-rate, accuracy, completeness, et cetera, that wouldn't have worked. Therefore, we are recommending the selection of Don Dietrich in the amount of $13,500 as an E-rate consultant. He's local, he spends his time here, and he's available as needed. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Larry. No more pictures and graphics, please. No, I'm joking. Thank you, Doc. I loved it. Thank you. And the next item up for discussion is the Central Middle School boiler replacement. Making this presentation is Mr. Gerald Freeman, Director of Facilities, Mr. Carl Scheid, Contractor, and Mr. Jeff Escott from TMI Dakin LLC. This is in conjunction with Policy DJF2. Mr. Freeman.
Good evening, Dr. Patton, President Lane, board members at large. I come tonight to present the Central Middle School boiler replacement. Documents have already been provided. Currently, there are 3 boilers serving Central Middle School, one of which no longer operates, another that has a failing heat exchanger. It's leaking, and due to its age and the availability of parts, it cannot be repaired. The 3rd boiler is operable but cannot carry the heating load for the entire building. So each of these boilers have reached the end of their useful life. I've invited Mr. Jeff Escott, he's not a stranger to our district, to go over the scope of services. Mr. Escott.
All right, thank you, Mr. Freeman. Good evening, board. Good evening, Dr. Patton.
Good evening.
Good to see you again. You have in front of you the scope of work for the boiler replacement requirements at Central Middle School. As Mr. Freeman indicated, the school does require at least 2 fundamentally working boilers to operate and carry the heating load during the winter. You're down to 1. There are some code issues that are currently in need of upgrades with regards to the boiler operation, flue gases and what have you. It's a comprehensive scope of work, which includes 4 new boilers. The way that the systems are put together now currently in the redundant manner, meaning that we're going to have 2 boilers operating at all times, and then those 2 boilers cycle off and the other 2 boilers cycle on. It's a much more efficient way to run your systems. Your energy savings as far as your gas consumption and utility bill will be reduced significantly, somewhere in the neighborhood of 20–30%. Could be more depending on how the building is set up to run with the automation system. So this scope of work would be slated to be completed before the start of heating season. Heating season typically begins when boilers are turned on in mid-October. This scope of work will be completed prior to October 1 to allow for testing. The state does have to come in and do inspections because they are pressure vessels, pass those inspections, and then be certified to run those systems. The comprehensive scope of work, the price for this is $398,230. I did present to the school board on April 14th. We talked about the high school building number 2 boiler system. That's a 2 boiler system there. So by cost comparison, that was roughly half of the cost of this. So this project is in line. At that time, when I did take questions, Ms. Lane did ask me about risk in other buildings. The second boiler issue present at Central Middle School was discovered with the leaking heat exchanger during boiler shutdown, which occurs in mid-April. At that time, that's when the heat exchanger was determined to be cracked and inefficient for operation. So that's very typical to discover things like that. That's inspection time of year. And that was the timeline for discovery. So after the last meeting, but so at this time, if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them for you.
Control of the system. Would it be control of the system? Would it be outsourced at another location, or would it be at the high school only?
Yeah, so you have a central controller at each building throughout the school district. So you do have a control system present at the Central Middle School. That control system does home run to the master system at the district, which Mr. Scheit, Mr. Freeman have access to at any point in time to make adjustments. So alarms, for example, if the heating were to shut off on a weekend, they'd be notified if they had any kind of issues like that. But this system will tie into your control system, and it'll be set up to operate effectively with the automation. So, yes, existing automation.
Okay, thank you.
I have one other thing to add, if I just have a second. I know it's been an eye-opening meeting for me to sit here, and I do spend a lot of time primarily with school districts, St. Louis Public Schools. I spend a significant time supporting them and other districts, much like yourselves. One of the things that I did pledge at the last meeting was to continue the partnership for the district. As a partner of the district, in supporting, Mr. Scheit, Mr. Freeman, we promised to go through some of the other buildings and create an assessment for you. There's no cost for that, right, for us to do that. And I pledged to have that done as efficiently, as effectively as I could with a mid-July deliverable. We've actually completed that at this time. So at some point in the near future, there's a path forward for the district in many different ways, especially from a funding standpoint, because right now when you have deferred maintenance, there is a lot of money being spent each month and each year by the district to maintain older systems. So I'd be happy to meet with you at some point here with Mr. Scheit, Mr. Freeman, to go over that and just discuss that with you so that you can plan to move forward, especially with all the discussion tonight around budgets. There are ways for the district to continue to realize savings very effectively for many years to come. So thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate being a partner with the district.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam President, that concludes our items for discussion, but I do want to make one more announcement. I want Mr. Scheit, who's sitting down, who probably shouldn't. He was a former employee. He was the executive director of facilities. He retired in December and then came back because we had Prop S funding projects in play. We were redrawing boundaries and moving furniture and all of that. And Mr. Scheit came back and helped us through that. While he will be here until next week, this will be his last meeting with us just as a consultant or as an employee. So I do want to say to Mr. Scheit, thank you for the commitment that you've had to this school district over the last, I think, about 3.5 years or so. And your presence made a difference on every one of our campuses and all of our plants. It has just made a difference. So please know that you've done well by us, and we appreciate all of what you have done from the bottom of my heart. We thank you. Our children deserve to walk into schools that represents care and represents concern for them, and you made that possible. So to you, thank you for your service to us, and thank you for your willingness to come out of retirement. And anytime you just want to hang out with us and grab a wrench or something, just let us know. And we are more than happy to have you just, come and just hang out though, okay? So thank you for your service. I don't know if you want to say something. No, you do not. Okay. All right, Mr. Shai, thank you. I appreciate it. Madam President, that concludes our items for discussion.
Thank you, Superintendent. So now we're at adjournment. May we have a motion for adjournment? It's been moved by Ms. Morrill and second by Ms. Tinsworth. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Good night. Thank you, everybody.